All right, friends, let me ask you a question. What labels do you use to identify yourself? What labels do you use to identify yourself? Likely when you interact with people, you will say something along the lines of, I am, and then you'll state something about yourself. And those things that you call yourself, the labels that you pick, are kind of to fledge out your identity, that people understand who you really are. Now, we use some of the same common things over and over and over again. Here's what I found. Kind of 5 big ones that we use commonly is our family, our profession, our interests, our beliefs, and our faith. So just for instance, okay, like our family situation, very often we'll say things like, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a grandparent, right? Oh, I'm single and I'm ready to mingle, right? That statement about your family situation speaks something about who you are. It gives them a picture of your identity, right? When it comes to our profession, very often, the things that we do, especially if there's something that we studied for, especially if there's something that we've worked hard at, that's kind of part of our identity. We'll say, right, I'm an engineer, I'm a mechanic by trade, right? I'm a nurse, or maybe say I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's your profession, and it really does give a lot of identity to who you are as far as what it is you do as your profession. You might say that to kind of represent your identity. Of course, the idea of our interests, right? The things that you are passionate about speak a lot about you. You say, I'm one of those food lovers, right? Like I love getting to eat good food, or I'm a gun guy, right? And like I'm all about this, or something that you do on the weekends that are really interesting to you, right? I'm a gearhead. I'm a gamer. Oh, I'm really into home decor. Whatever your interest is, kind of speak a little bit to your identity. Your beliefs, of course, these are the things that you kind of live by here and now. You say, oh, maybe I'm more conservative. I'm more liberal. I lean this way or this way politically. I'm not political, or, whatever it is that you kind of lean into. Or, of course, your faith. This is something that we often do. To speak of who we are as identity, we'll say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jesus follower, I'm unaffiliated with anything faith-related, I'm uninterested, I'm an atheist. All of these things speak something about our identity. What labels do you give yourself to describe yourself to other people? Now, we use these to describe who we are, but one thing that I think very often we are missing, which is actually a key critical component. In fact, this I believe most people don't have set up in their identity. And it's the reason why so many people that you talk to, so many people who I talk to, they seem kind of a little bit lost and detached in life. Even if they have some of these other things figured out, it feels as though they almost are confused about who they are because they don't have this last portion of their identity fixed. But I don't want that to be the case for you. I want you to be able to know this part of your identity, and it is key. A lot of people don't have it, but you're not going to be one of those people. The last part of really giving us our identity is our mission. Our mission. Sure, we can have the family situation, our beliefs, our interests, our faith, those things, but what's our mission as a person? What's your mission? A mission is the thing that you're called to and working on for a higher purpose. The thing you feel called to and you're giving your life to for a higher purpose. And listen, here's what I wonder. If you're here with me today, if you're watching this right now, is it possible that God wants you to find your mission here in regards to what we're doing as our community? Is it possible the reason why you're watching this is because God has brought you here to be able to figure this out for your life, to give you that last piece of your identity that is so critical to you becoming a true success in your life? You see, Acts churches, right? And I'm talking about the people, Acts Church, this group of people, our current mission is this. We plan to connect 1,000 people in the Illinois Valley to Jesus. It's really, really simple. It's just a clear statement. We want to connect 1,000 people. That's a number of important factor, right? That would make a difference in our community. And we want to connect them to Jesus. We've met Jesus. We want to see other people connect their lives to Jesus. That's our mission here and now, as we said. Our mission to connect 1,000 people in the Illinois Valley to Jesus. But my question is it perhaps your mission as well? Maybe the reason why you're here and you're watching this and you're part of Acts and you're part of this church is because this is actually meant to be your mission as well. And here's what I want to do. I want to give you a little bit of some of the clarifiers of who we are as Acts Church. Some of you guys love Acts Church. You're like, I really enjoy this church. I enjoy being a part of it. But if someone was to ask you why, you honestly don't really know why. You're like, it just seems it's nice. Or I want to give you some identity to go along with this, because here's what I think. If you identify, meaning like, yeah, I sync up with our identity as a church, then the reality is you are most likely meant to be part of this mission, that your mission and our mission are the same. And when we put it together, that's how we actually accomplish this mission in our area. So let's talk about our identity as a church. This is a really, really great opportunity for any of you who are newer to Acts Church, or for any of you who've been around for a long time. I want you to be really, really clear on our identity as a church, that you know who we are as a church. When people talk about Acts Church, you can say, I know what kind of character Acts Church has, what their identity is, because you know these things. And I'm going to give you 7 of them today that are going to clearly spell out our identity as a church. Let me go through them with you today. First and foremost, here's who we are. We are average people making Jesus famous. We as Acts Church are average people making Jesus famous. We believe the best ministry in the world is done by average, regular people who communicate Jesus on the simplest of terms. In fact, when Jesus came to this earth, and he decided that he was going to start his mission, right, of bringing the gospel to the world, he went and he built a team. But here's what's so crazy about his team, okay? He didn't go to the university. He didn't go to some really like crazy educated place like the temple where all these people who are there. In fact, this is what's so weird. Jesus went to the lake. He went to the lake. In fact, a third of his disciples, 4 of the 12, were likely just fishermen. I don't know about you, but fishermen aren't usually known for being like, oh, they're incredibly deep and wise, right? He picked average people. Really, this is what we believe, that God uses ordinary people on purpose. Here's what it actually says in 1 Corinthians 1, 26 through 29. Check this out. It says, Paul speaking this to the church, remember, dear brothers and sisters, few of you were wise in the world's eyes, or powerful, or wealthy when God called you. Instead, God chose things the world considers foolish in order to shame those who think that they are wise. And he chose things that are powerless to shame those who are powerful. God chose things despised by the world, things counted as nothing at all, and used them to bring to nothing what the world considered important. As a result, no one can ever boast in the presence of God. He says, it wasn't like you guys were some amazing people that God called. He says, actually, he called people who were kind of weak, who were poor, who were powerless. And you guys have done such amazing things that it shocks the world that is affiliated with these things. In fact, later on, this is interesting to think about, in Acts, they took some of the disciples who had been with Jesus and they put them on trial. And when they put them on trial, this is so interesting to think about. The guys who put him on trial are astounded by the fact. They're amazed by the fact, not that they're like, oh man, these guys are out of this world thinkers or anything. It says they were amazed, but look at what they were amazed by in Acts 4:13. It says the members of the council were amazed when they saw the boldness of Peter and John. So they were amazed by their boldness. But it says this, they could see that they were ordinary men with no special training in the scriptures. They also recognized them as men who had been with Jesus. I love this. It says that these guys were ordinary men. Here's what stood out about them. They had been with Jesus. Friends, that's us as a church. We are average people making Jesus famous. We don't make Jesus famous because we're something so important. It's because Jesus is something important. And the marker of us isn't like, wow, they're amazing people. It's they just really, really love Jesus. They've been with Jesus, and that makes the difference. See, we always say here, you're just supposed to do what you can with what you have where you are. Do what you can with what you have where you are. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. And the reality is that so many of us are always wondering like, oh, well, you know, if only, right? Some of you guys have thought like, what would I do if God gave me more? If I was a millionaire, what would I do? But listen, that doesn't matter. You're not a millionaire. If you're like, oh, well, if I was more talented, you're not. The reality is God has given you a certain measure right now, and what you're supposed to do is just be faithful with what you have here and now. In fact, I say it this way. This is important to think about. Our limitations don't limit God's ability to do a miracle. Our limitations don't limit God's ability to do a miracle. You see, that's why we're about average people making Jesus famous. You don't need to go to college for years and years to be able to share the gospel. You don't need to have everything figured out about your faith before you can start to share the gospel. The reality is it's about just average people sharing the faith they have. Here's what this means for us. It means that we believe that the mission of our church is everybody's responsibility. It's not just my responsibility as the pastor, not just our leadership team's responsibility. It is everyone's responsibility because it's about average people making Jesus famous. We believe that everyone has a talent that can be put to use. There is nobody who has nothing to give. Everybody has something to be able to give, to be part of this. And last, we work hard with what we have. We embrace, if we have a limitation, we get creative and we leverage that. We don't bemoan the things we don't have. We just use the things we do. Second, we are the church before Acts Church. The church before Acts Church. Listen to me. Other churches are our allies, not our enemies. For us as a church, if you're wondering who we are as far as our identity, we take identity with the idea that we're part of the church, meaning the big church, everyone who's sharing the gospel, that we don't think we're in competition with other churches to be able to take and see who can have the biggest services or who can do the most things. We believe that we're allies working together. We fight against division inside of churches. We refuse to talk bad about other churches because we believe they're our brothers and sisters. In fact, we love what it says in 1 Corinthians 1:10. It says, I appeal to you, dear brothers and sisters, by the authority of our Lord Jesus Christ, to live in harmony with each other. Let there be no divisions in the church. Rather, be of one mind, united in thought and in purpose. You see, we don't think that every church has to be like us. We don't think that we're the real church and that we have it figured out and other churches don't. We believe there's great freedom inside of this thing called faith, and that for us, we're just about being allies with them and just continuing to spread the gospel, the message of Jesus. In fact, we see the idea that differences in churches are a good thing. They don't need to be divisions. We don't want divisions in the church, but differences, that's great because we're all part of one body of believers. In fact, 1 Corinthians 12, I'm going to read you real quick. Verse 12, 20, and then 26 through 27. I'm just going to jump through this little section so you get what he's saying, okay? Paul says this, the human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. So it is with the body of Christ, meaning the church. Yes, there are many parts, but only one body. The eye can never say to the hand, I don't need you. The head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. If one part suffers, then all the parts suffer with it. And if one part is honored, all the parts are glad. All of you together are Christ's body, and each of you is a part of it. We're all meant to be part of the church. And even different churches, we don't think it's bad that they have differences because we believe that we actually represent the different parts of the body of Christ. That's terrific. If some believe something a little different, some have a little bit different of a view on that, that's great. We all work together to make Jesus famous in this area. This is what it means. It means we will work with other churches to make the gospel known further and faster, okay? The idea is that we're working with other churches. Listen, I'll just make this really, really practical for you because people will talk about theoretical things. For real, in the last 30 days, me as your pastor, I have spent time helping 4 other local churches with things in this area. I was just thinking about it before I taught this, and I realized we just loaned equipment to a church. We just gave equipment to a church. We just helped the church figure out what they're going to do for live streaming, and we just helped the church with some of their technology. That was all just within the last few weeks of what we did. We are constantly investing in other ministries because we believe we're working together to make the gospel known in this area. If they win, we win because we're on the same team. It also means that we connect people to Jesus before Acts Church. And that's why we say we're the church before Acts Church. Because listen, there are some of you that you will be here for only a season of your life. You'll be with us for a season. It might be that you're young and you're going to go off to college, or it might be that your job is going to move you along. And if I make all of your faith based on Acts Church, when you leave, your faith will get left behind. You see, I'm interested in connecting you to Jesus. and to the church, the global church, because someday, if God chooses to move you to another city, to another state, to another country, your faith will thrive because you're not just Acts Church, you're the church, and wherever you go, you'll fall in love with the local representation of the church there, and you will continue to make Jesus famous. Friends, we are the church before Acts Church. Third, we are people, not programs. We believe people is really the foundation of everything. When I talk about Acts Church, I'm not talking about an organization. I'm not talking about a building. I'm not talking about an elaborate system. What we are is we're people. It's actually why you might have never noticed this, but our sign on the outside of the building that we meet at in the Grove Center, it doesn't say Acts Church here. It says Acts Church meets here. The people meet here. This is just a building that we're in. The people are what really matters. You see, when Jesus came to this earth to start the movement of the gospel, he didn't create some big religious system. He invested his time in 12 people. You see, people are what really, really matters because people are what's valuable. We believe every person is valuable, that Jesus showed us this, that is the true importance. So we keep things simple because of that and just focus in on the people before everything else. We love what Romans 2:11 says. It says, "For God does not show favoritism." I love this. Really, what we believe here is that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your culture is, what your race is, what your sex is. It doesn't matter because those things don't really affect your connection with God. God is interested in each one of us individually, and he doesn't show any favoritism to anybody else. What this means for us is that when we say we want to connect 1,000 people to Jesus, we want to connect 1,000 people to Jesus. The reason why that number is important isn't because of the number, it's because of the people. We want to see people connected to Jesus and we want to know each and every one of them. That's why we do things like groups, because we want people to be known. We will keep things simple. And we will say no to tons of things. People get annoyed with Acts Church sometimes because we say no to a ton, because what we want to do is weekends, we want to do groups, and we want to do kindness. People are like, but what about? And we're like, no. Weekends, groups, kindness. Weekends, groups, kindness, because we want to focus on people and we want to keep it simple so we can just focus on the people inside of this. It also means that we treat Acts kids as Acts Church. When we talk about the kids, they're not the church of the next generation. They're not the future of the church. They're the church now. That's why we spend so much time and effort and money and energy on our kids, because they're the church now. They're the ones who we're trying to reach with the gospel. We want to continue to serve them. It's not just about watching your kids while you might be watching this. The idea is we want to invest in them and share the gospel with them. That's why we're so passionate about teaching kids ministry at a level that makes sense to them, where they really meet Jesus. And last, listen, it means that we promote leadership regardless of sex, regardless of age, regardless of culture. We have old people and young people on our team. We have men and women on our team. We have people from all different backgrounds. We don't really care about those things because God's not a respecter of persons. What we care about is the heart, the person. Are they passionate? Are they invested? Do they love this church, and do they want to see more people reached? Next, we are actively irreligious. People always get surprised by this when they're like, wait a second, you're a church. How are you actively irreligious, right? Well, we believe that Christianity was never really meant to be a religion. It's a relationship with Jesus. It's this connection to him. It's not about religion, not about a system that we participate in. You see, we want to connect people to Jesus. We don't just want to give them a list of rules, of do's and do nots for them to follow. That's what religion is based on. Here's a list of do's, do those. Here's a list of don'ts, don't do those. That's religion. It's man's attempt to try to get close to God. But see, we believe that Jesus did all that work to reestablish our relationship with him. We're interested in connecting people in relationship to Jesus. Jesus wasn't good at religion. Did you know that? You might be shocked. You're like, wait, what? Jesus wasn't good at religion. Listen to this story, okay? Mark 2, 23 through 28. Amazing story about Jesus. It says, one Sabbath day, as Jesus was walking through some grain fields, his disciples began breaking off heads of grain to eat. But the Pharisees, and these are like the dudes who are super religious, they said to Jesus, look, why are they breaking the law by harvesting grain on the Sabbath? They said, you can't harvest any grain on the Sabbath because the Sabbath day is the day you're supposed to rest. But they're picking grain. That's working. Jesus said to them, haven't you ever read the scriptures, what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He went into the house of God during the days when Abiathar was high priest, and he broke the law by eating the sacred loaves of bread that only the priests are allowed to eat. He also gave some to his companions. Then Jesus said to him, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of man, and not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So the Son of Man, meaning himself, is Lord, even over the Sabbath. Man, the most religious people in Jesus' day didn't like Jesus because he wasn't religious enough. Think about that. That's amazing, isn't it? The most religious people, they got angry at Jesus because they go, you're not religious enough. You're breaking this rule. And he says, you're missing the point of why the Sabbath was even created. I love this. This is what Paul says, okay, about religion. Galatians 5:4, he says this, for if you are trying to make yourself right with God by keeping the law, you have been cut off from Christ. You've fallen away from God's grace. This is why we're actively irreligious. It's not just that we're not religious. This is why we're actively irreligious, because we know religion is dangerous. Paul says that you can be tempted to think that you can earn your relationship with God. And get this, if you believe that, he says you can walk away from the free gift of salvation that Jesus gave to you. Let me make sure you're clear on this, okay? Religion is so dangerous, it can fool you into giving up Jesus. Religion is so dangerous, it can trick you into giving up Jesus, the free grace of salvation you have, and thinking instead, I'm going to earn it. So we push back. We are actively irreligious to try to push back and make sure people realize you're not earning a relationship with Jesus here. You're not earning your connection to God. You're not earning your salvation. It's been given to you for free from Jesus. Don't lean into that religion. And because of this, okay, honestly, we catch some flack as a church for sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of the religious people in our community, they do not like our church at all, okay? But we're okay with that because listen, controversy follows Jesus. Controversy follows Jesus. It always followed him while he was here. When he walked around on this earth, he was a controversial figure and he still is today. So listen, if controversy follows Jesus and we follow Jesus, that means controversy is going to follow us as well. It's going to happen. The most religious people in the day didn't like Jesus, and the most religious people today, sometimes they get so mad at Acts Church, in fact, because of this situation where we're actively irreligious pushing back on this. This is what it means for us. It means that we do not try to be more holy than Jesus. That's a good thing for us to do. Let's not try to be more holy than Jesus. If Jesus didn't call it holy, let's not try to make it holy, right? It means that I'm going to consistently push back against religious thinking, of feeling like we can earn our faith and say, wait a second, remember, this is all a gift from Jesus. It means that we are not concerned when the religious people start calling us names and start saying things that are negative about us, because we know that if we follow Jesus, we're going to face some controversy for sure. And last, it means that we are willing to do anything short of sin to reach people with the gospel. We're willing to do things that are crazy. We're willing to do things that are maybe a little wild. But listen, as long as it's not sinful, we're going to keep doing it because our goal is to reach as many with the gospel as possible. Next, we as a church, we as Acts Church are brutally authentic. Brutally authentic. Here's what we say. None of us have it figured out. None of us have it figured out. So why pretend? Why pretend? None of us have it all figured out. So why pretend like we do, right? Honesty is the best course of action always, and that is our goal, to be honest at every single turn. We hate hiding things. We hate putting on a fake face. We despise that. Listen to me, Jesus wasn't afraid of messed up people when he was here on this earth. Luke 5:29-32, it's a great story. It says, later Levi, this guy, okay, that Jesus had just met, held a banquet in his home with Jesus as the guest of honor. Awesome. Many of Levi's fellow tax collectors and other guests also ate with them. Now, tax collectors were like the lowest of the low at this time. But the Pharisees, again, the religious people, and their teachers of religious law complained bitterly to Jesus' disciples. "Why do you eat and drink with such scum?" they say. Wow. Jesus answered them, "Healthy people don't need a doctor. Sick people do. I have come to call not those who think they are righteous," which hopefully they got for a second. He was pointing at them. He says, "but those who know that they are sinners and need to repent." He says, the reason why I came was to reach people who realized they were messed up. And listen, we're not afraid to say that we're messed up because that's who Jesus came to rescue. We don't want people to lie about the struggles they have in their life because that's really why Jesus came. Listen, everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. Every one of us have a past. Every one of us have a current struggle we're dealing with now. We want to celebrate how far Jesus has brought us. We don't want people to hide like, oh, you wouldn't want to know me before. No, I do want to know who you were before because that's the reality of how far Jesus has brought you to this day. Listen, the way your story ends is way, way, way more important than how it begins. In fact, really, it doesn't matter how it begins. It's all about how it ends once we meet Jesus. Philippians 1:6 says, "I am certain that God who began the good work within you will continue his work until it is finally finished on the day when Christ Jesus returns." Jesus says he's going to finish it. Listen, no more of these fake faces. We're not interested in playing church. We're not interested in putting on some fake face. In fact, I think it's not just the fact that I don't want to do it. I think that it's wrong. Listen, when you hide who you truly are, if I hide who I truly am, what my struggles are, what my flaws were in the past, what I'm dealing with here and now, I'm lying about God's grace. When we take and we hide who we truly are, we lie about God's grace. Because when people don't see the struggle, when they don't see what we came from, all of a sudden they can just look at our life and be like, oh, well, look, yeah, God's blessing them. Well, of course he'd bless them. Look how good their life is. Look how perfect they are. But when we actually reveal, no, here's where I came from. Here's what I struggle with. And all of a sudden we're actually telling the full measure of God's grace. They go, wow, God is faithful. God is good to you. And look, you're still a mess. You go, right. Yeah, I'm still struggling with this. I'm still working on this, right? This is what I came from. This is my background, and this is where God has brought me. Let's not cover up any of it. Let's be brutally authentic. For us as a church, this means that we don't hide our sin. We bring it to light. In fact, we say this, we celebrate confession at Acts Church. We don't want people to try to pretend they're holy, okay? Even more important to us than holiness is confession. That we take and we celebrate when people actually say, hey, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's the depth of my sin. We cheer because we say today is the day that it can change. Because as soon as it's confessed, that means we can move forward with it. We cheer on confession. We don't do fake church. We talk real. We talk about the reality of our sin. You'll hear me talk about my struggles. You'll hear other leaders talk about that. We're real when we're in teams together, when we're in groups together. We talk about the real stuff. We're raw. We don't lie about who we are when we're serving, when we're working together, when we're in groups. And listen, we want to see sinners meet Jesus and become leaders. Because we don't think there's people like, oh, some really good people, and they're going to be people who are going to become, group leaders and team leaders and all this. Listen, average people making Jesus famous, just brutally authentic, sinners who are met by Jesus, who then go on to do amazing things for him. Next, we are consistently celebrating. We are consistently celebrating. This is one of who we are. Our identity is we are just consistently celebrating. You know why? Because God keeps being awesome. God keeps being awesome, so we keep cheering over and over and over again. Listen, we can't stand sourpuss Christians. We can't stand it. When you meet those Christians who are just moping around through life, and they're like, everything is like a complaint about what's going on in their life. We can't stand that. We want to shove those people and be like, hey, am I wrong? Are you saved? Did Jesus not rescue you from your eternal sin? Oh, no, but don't you feel saved today, bro? Because he rescued you. I think there should be a different air about us because of this situation. God is moving. God is doing awesome stuff. If he's rescued you, you should have a cheer in your heart because of that. Every day is a celebration of what Jesus has done. In fact, here's how Paul said it. Philippians 4:4-5. Always be full of joy in the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. Let everyone see that you are considerate in all you do. Remember, the Lord is coming soon. He says, man, rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. Celebrations help us remember what is important. They show value to the things that really, really matter. That's why we celebrate, because we celebrate things that matter. We live in celebration, friends, because of what Jesus has done. Listen what Paul says in Romans, verses 8:35 and 37. Romans 8:35, then into verse 37. It says, can anything ever separate us from Christ's love? Does it mean he no longer loves us if we have trouble or calamity or are persecuted or hungry or destitute or in danger or threatened with death? He's basically listing out all the bad stuff that could happen, right? He says, in reality, with all this, what does that mean? He says, no, despite all these things, overwhelming victory is ours through Christ who loved us. He says, even despite all that stuff, friends, we walk in victory because of it, right? I think this is supposed to be true for us. We should walk with our heads held high, with our chest out in victory. We should walk like winners, friends, because we are. Despite our circumstances, Jesus has rescued us. He has brought us back, and he has given us victory so we can walk victorious. This means for us as a church, we take time to honor, to party, to celebrate faithfulness and awesomeness. We honor it. We celebrate it. We take a moment to be able to cheer when we see awesomeness and faithfulness. We walk with an atmosphere of success and with celebration. We walk with that sense. I don't know if you noticed it. Sometimes I had someone tell me one time with Acts, they're like, you guys just like walk ahead into something like a mission, a vision, a thing, just like nothing can stop you. And I'm like, nothing can stop us because Jesus is on our side, man. We should walk with that air of confidence, with this swagger of victory because of what Jesus has done. We're consistently celebrating because God keeps moving. And last, we expect the next victory. We expect the next victory. Right now, we're moving forward because God is going to show us that next location. He's going to show us the next opportunity because he isn't done. He is going to keep being awesome, and we're going to keep on cheering. We are consistently celebrating. And last, we are found, then finding others. I know the phrasing on that one's a little different, but you'll see why it's important. We are found, then finding others. Now that Jesus has found us, he's rescued us from our sin. We were lost. Jesus came and he found us and he brought us to himself. We devote the rest of our lives to finding others who are lost and bringing them to meet Jesus as well. Friends, I don't know if you've ever caught this when you read the Bible, but Jesus is obsessed with the lost. Luke 15:7 says this, in the same way there is more rejoicing in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. You say that makes no sense. Why would there be more joy over one sinner who repents than 99 who are still connected? But I need you to understand this. Jesus is disproportionately passionate about the lost. He is disproportionately passionate about the lost. He is all about those who have wandered away, who have left the connection they had, and he desperately wants to bring them back in. It's not saying he doesn't love his sons or daughters who are connected, but his mind dwells on those who are missing, and he wants to bring them back. Our faith is not just about us. If you believe that, I need you to get it out of your head right now. Because there are a bunch of people who get in this mindset that it's all about Jesus found me, he rescued me, and it's me, and it's all about me, and about me growing myself, and about Jesus loves me, and I'm great, and me. But friends, we are all called then to be part of this mission to go and to find. In fact, you might have missed this one too. When Jesus called his disciples, he's like, hey, come follow me. He didn't say, hey, come follow me and learn a whole bunch of awesome stuff about God. Hey, come follow me and see a bunch of amazing stuff. Hey, come follow me and your life will be amazingly blessed. Hey, come follow me and everything will be great. Hey, come follow me and you're going to know so much about God. Because that's what some of us would think he'd said, because that's what we've made our faith about. This is what he says. The original call of the disciples in Matthew 4:18 through 20. It says, one day as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net into the water, for they fished for a living. Jesus called out to them and says, come follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people. And they left their nets at once, and they followed him. Not lost to found, lost to finding. It wasn't that Jesus was saying, you were lost, and now you're found. He says, you're lost. I found you. Come help me find more. Friends, we believe that our faith is supposed to spur us into action of finding others. In fact, we believe that faith without action is dead. James 2:26 says, just as the body is dead without breath, so also faith is dead without good works. Friend, we are supposed to start moving once we get connected with Jesus. We are supposed to start moving forward and finding others who are lost. We refuse to let our words go farther than our feet. I tell you, hey, we're about connecting 1,000 people in the Illinois Valley to Jesus, and that's something we can say. But what we mean is we're ready to put our boots on and work that out, walk that out, make the effort that's necessary. We don't want you stopping at found. It's great. I once was lost, but now I'm found, right? That's a great song. Terrific. Awesome. But I think we can do one step better. I once was lost, but now I'm finding. I'm walking with Jesus, looking for people who I see are lost, who don't belong in the situations they're in, and reaching out to them and offering them a hand and saying, come and meet Jesus. We don't wait for people to come to us. That can be kind of the feeling, right? Like you're sitting back and you're like, well, when they want to come, we'll be here. That's not what finding is. Finding is going into those spaces and meeting them right where they're at. That's why us as a church, we leave our church walls consistently throughout the year. That's why we want to send you as missionaries into your schools, into your environments, into your communities, into your workspaces, into your community. And so you're a missionary there bringing the gospel. It's not about just getting them to come here. You're taking it with you wherever you go. We meet people where they're at. We're friends with people a long time before they ever believe like we do. This is why we do things in the community and serve them. We have kids and we have adults who come to our events and they love our church. They don't love what we believe, but they love our church because we're friends with them long before they believe. And friends, this is why we meet people right where they're at, because we're meant to find them. Friends, Acts Church is the church of the hangover. We're the church of people who come in and you can tell they just had a hard night the night before. But when they come in, we're not disappointed in them because they smell bad and they smell like liquor from the night before. We're celebrating because they're here and we want them to be here because we know that they've been lost and we want them to be found. Friends, Acts Church is the church that, you know, some of those religious people that I told you who wouldn't like us? We've heard through the grapevine that, you know, one of the things that we've got labeled as the church is people who said, oh, that Acts Church, that's a church just filled with sinners. Filled with sinners. And friends, listen to me. We celebrate. We celebrate that title. As much as it was meant to be a dig to me as a leader, to us as a church, and some very religious people wanted it to hurt us of being like, oh, well, you know, there's a name that would be really, really rough. See, we celebrate it because we remember the fact that when Jesus was here, the most religious people said, oh, well, you're a friend of sinners. And they meant it to be a negative thing to him, and he took that title, and he was proud of it. And he says, you're right, I am a friend of sinners. Friends, we are the church that's filled with sinners. Yes, a bunch of people who desperately need Jesus. And we're not just interested in shifting their dynamics as far as what they do and what they drink and where they go and making them look like Christians. We're interested in making them to come to a place where they actually meet Jesus. And that's why, yes, we are the church of sinners. We're the friend of sinners. We're the church that meets them right where they're at because we are interested in going from lost, not just to found, but to finding. We want to be part of being finders. Friends, this means that we call everyone to a life of finding. If this is your church, I call you into a life of finding. It means that we don't expect anyone to have stuff figured out before they become our friends. It means that we're willing to do things that other churches won't do in order to reach people that other churches won't reach because we are passionate and even disproportionately passionate about the lost like Jesus is. Friends, this is who we are. This is our identity as a church. We are average people making Jesus famous. The church before Acts Church. People, not programs. Actively irreligious, brutally authentic, consistently celebrating, found, then finding others. This is who we are as a church. And listen, this is our identity. And this is the identity that God wants us to have in order to accomplish our mission. So this is my ask for you. Think about those 7 things that are our identity as a church. If you don't like those 7 things, you're not going to want to be part of this church. If you don't like those characteristics, if you don't like that identity, then go find a different church. This won't be your church. You won't like it because this is behind everything we do. You'll just be frustrated and annoyed. Go find another church. That's great. But if when I said these things, you identified with those, right? You're like, yes, that's me. If you line up with our identity, if you line up with those, if you identify with our identity, then listen, we're supposed to be on the same mission. The reason why you're here is because God wants to give you that last piece of who you are, your mission. And the reason why maybe you're in this community right now, why you're surrounded by this area right now, why you live here right now, and why you're part of this church right now is because this is your mission as well. That you are Acts Church, and you are meant to carry this same mission and be part of connecting 1,000 people in the Illinois Valley to Jesus. Friends, I invite you to take these core values and make them your own. I invite you to join this mission, to find the last component of your identity, that you know who you are. When I said at the beginning, and I said how you identify, you say, I am a engineer, I am a gearhead, I am a stay-at-home mom, I am a conservative, I am a Christian, I am, and we say these things to identify ourselves. This is one that I'm offering you right now. Might you understand your mission and start to say, I am Acts Church. I am Acts Church. What does that mean? It means that's my mission. I'm part of this group of people whom God has called to connect 1,000 people in the Illinois Valley to Jesus. I'm Acts Church. What does that mean? It means this is what I'm doing here and now. The reason why God has me here is because I'm meant to be a part of this. I am an actively irreligious person. I am a brutally authentic person. I am a consistently celebrating person. I was lost, but I'm not just going to found, I'm going to finding. I'm all about people and not programs. I'm the church before Acts Church. I'm an average person who's interested in making Jesus famous. I am Acts Church. Friends, not just me, not just our leaders, but every single one of you, if you identify with our identity, let's link hands and let's join this mission together to make Jesus more famous in this area, to connect 1,000 people in the Illinois Valley to Jesus. Would you pray with me? God, thank you so much for these people. I pray that you would solidify in their mind right now, if they link up with this identity, Lord, that they would realize that they are Acts Church as well, that the reason why you have them here is to be part of this mission. Lord, to make yourself more well-known and connect 1,000 people in this area to you, to create a revolution in our environment, to make you so much more famous and so much more glorious in our area. And I pray that you would give them today that last piece of their identity, that they would truly know who they are. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Friends, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us online today, here and now. I understand this was a little bit different change of plans as far as that. Definitely come back next weekend when we do our in-person only services. Next weekend, first weekend of February, where we are going to close out our 21 days of prayer and fasting, even though it's a week late. Go out to this next week. Love God and love everyone.